So one of the things I brag to my audience of clients, accredited investors, institutional investors at that is I have access to current bank CEOs, former bank CEOs, and what's in it for my clients is imagine a small team of what I would call experts. And one of the things I love doing is getting a bunch of ex-bank executives together to do an acquisition with a current bank CEO because he has no idea what's hitting him. Like just the expertise in my team is phenomenal. It's a privilege to have you as part of what I call my team, if I can language it that way. I'd love for you to tell my audience a little bit about you've been a banking executive multiple times. How on earth did you do it?
Yes, certainly. Thank you so much, Taimour, for the exposure and the invite to be on your amazing platform. Thank you so much, Taimour. My educational background, I've got 9 academic qualifications.
Wow.
And I is an MBA through the University of South Africa.
Okay.
I'm merely mentioning South Africa. That means I'm a national South African national based between Johannesburg and Durban, South Africa.
Okay. Very cool.
I'm a financial services leader with over 20 years of banking, business, and executive experience, specializing in corporate banking, investment strategy, risk and compliance, and regulatory governance. Taimour, I headed up the divisions of business banking at 2 of South Africa's largest banks, namely Standard Bank and Absa Bank. I have a proven expertise in business and corporate banking and banking CVP, especially solutions for focusing on driving revenue growth and optimizing revenue frameworks for business banking clients and for C-suite contributors.
Given you've been working in banking for years, specifically in Africa, what are some coaching, some advice, some suggestions you have for people that are looking for capital? And given your context is you're an executive from a bank, so your perspective would be very different to a receptionist or a teller, or even a junior underwriter. I'd love to get your perspective of clients that are looking for small, large, medium-sized amounts of funding. What advice do you have for what you're seeing in the marketplace?
There's basically 3 phases I'd like to focus on when it comes to client seeking funding. Phase 1, have a detailed knowledge of what you really need. Have a vision of your CVP, customer value proposition, focus on your customer, focus on your business, and focus on exactly what your business needs for the next 5 to 10 years. Point number 2, know your numbers. Be thorough about your numbers. Be an undisputed expert of your business and your financials and your markets. All too often, I find that clients really run the errand of falling behind on knowing what the numbers are like and what the numbers focus on their business going forward. Financial modeling is critical. Understand, have a detailed, realistic projection of the next 3 to 5 years when you're seeking funding. When you're going to fund it, be specific in a sense that, for example, I'm raising X dollars to achieve Y and Z milestones in 18 months' time. I find all too often clients that go out for funding, Taimour, they don't have the near term to medium term to long term.
I agree.
Focus on what their business needs.
I agree.
They focus on the fact that they require funding because the accountant or the chartered accountant will tell the business owner we require more funding. So as a knee-jerk reaction, they would tend to want to borrow on a whim. Thirdly, they need to be thoroughly prepared when seeking funding. They need to understand the list of documentary requirements from the funders themselves. Now, these funders could be small, medium, large funders, and they need to be prepared in terms of financial modeling. Why do you need the funds? And what the next phase would be phase number 2, which is a strategy. Understand what the business needs from different types of capital requirements. SBLC, working capital funding, CapEx, growth funding. Understanding the types of funding, it will tell you who are the value providers in the markets. For argument's sake, banks and corporate funders provide various funding solutions. More often than not, I've seen businesses make the mistake using medium-term funding as working capital supplements. They've
Right.
taken a funding loan and they've used it for working capital funding, which should never be the conventional case of funding.
Right.
In terms of funding and funders, you would have branch and corporate funders. You will also have angel investors. Now, angel investors I like to term a high net worth individual that offer valuable advice. AFG, for example, as an angel investor in the form of Rent a Rich Uncle. Your program, Rent a Rich Uncle, serves as an angel investor going forward and provides that kind of funding to corporate funders, to small, medium to large funders. Venture capitalists can also provide institutional money, but expect a high rate of growth in terms of funding. Venture debt funders can also be strong in the providing debt funding. And you also have what is called crowdfunding. And crowdfunding can play a critical role in providing funding for businesses. Phase 3, I would call the execution. And phase 3, you've got to be the master when telling your story about your business to the funder. Basically, what this engages or what this entails is phase number 3 would be that when you're going out to the market to seek funding, be strong, know your story, sell your dreams, sell your teams, not just a product, but as a service, and make a compelling case to de-risk the investment immediately. When seeking funding, know your story completely and thoroughly engage with the funders regarding why you need the funds. And don't be scared to negotiate a term sheet. More often than not, I find in the market, Taimour, that clients generally would take a term sheet uninspected because the funder said, I'm offering you funding, and they would not go to the term sheet thoroughly and properly. And in a year or two later, they would then come up with obstacles and hindrances in their funding structure, which is too late to adjust. Know the term sheet thoroughly, negotiate. Price isn't everything. Understand the valuation, understand the value, and then when you're comfortable, also use commercial lawyers. If you're unsure about a term sheet, pass it through a commercial lawyer and seek the advice of somebody who's a practicing legal expert in the field of business.
I love it. I love it.
It's a marathon. Funding is a marathon. It's not a sprint.
That's so true.
It definitely is a marathon and not a sprint.
That's so true.
I'm sitting with an application from March this year, and I'm still to finalize that application because of the length of time it takes for funding to be approved. So I would say in closing, I would say to businesses, know the time frame that you are engaging in. It could be 3 months, it could be 6 months, depending on the complication of the funding needed, of the process, and understand exactly why your company is engaging in debt. Ultimately, it's going to be a debt of some sort. Understand the nature and the timeous nature of the debt structured finance requirement that you would need going forward.
Sure.
Thank you, Taimour.
Thank you so much. That's really good advice. As you're talking about this, I'm thinking about all these clients I have. I'm like, oh, you're right. Oh my God, this guy or this guy that got, like what you're saying is so brilliant. It really resonates for me. You are not one of the first few, but you're one of the many what I call former, and we also have existing bank executives who decide to trust AFG, partner with AFG like that. Can I ask you, why did you choose my firm versus maybe 10,000 other clients out there, or 10,000 other organizations out there?
Well, Taimour, I've got a little story to tell you first.
I mean, sorry.
I put my art to work on LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And instantaneously, I got a reply from a gentleman called Taimour Zaman.
Okay. Yeah.
I've never heard of him before. I've never heard of the company before.
Yeah.
However, what impressed me the most
was
that I've got an instantaneous reply from a CEO of a global company.
Yeah.
This gentleman, which is you, took the time to look for new partnerships.
Yeah.
Took the time to look for new skills and diversified skills.
100%.
I was gobsmacked have the fact that you could spend your busy days looking for new talent,
Yeah.
looking for new networks, and looking for new acquisitions. And
100%.
after all, your biggest acquisitions are your human acquisitions.
Exactly. That I so believe in that. I have people, honest to God, pitching me 3 times a week. AI. You should invest in the AI. I'm like, sure, for sure. But I'm more of the humankind guy, for sure, 100%. Just for the record, I'm not the CEO. I'm the founder. I have a CEO. I've hired a CEO. His name is Russ. Phenomenal guy. But just want to let you know, I'm not the CEO like that. But I appreciate that. So what had you, other than the fact that I reached out to you, what has you trust my organization as somebody who's not excuse my language, a junior banker or an idiot, if I can say that way?
Yeah. Well, Taimour, I think once you and I chatted, and this is our fourth chat, by the way.
Yeah.
The founder of a company speaking to me once a week really impressed me thoroughly. Having researched extensively on AFG, if I can call AltFunds Global,
Yeah.
which I would abbreviate as AFG, I then went into looking at your company and what your company does, and I was absolutely blown away. Partnering with AFG Global can bring numerous benefits to me personally.
Right.
It gives me access to alternate funding. My clients can access funding such as private equity, venture capital, or crowdfunding through AFG.
Perfect.
Secondly, AFG offers me the expertise and the guidance.
Interesting.
In the world of finance, your team of experienced professionals can offer invaluable guidance and support and help me to navigate complex financial decisions and strategies.
I appreciate that.
Thirdly, on a personal level, partnering with AFG can provide with access to networks of investors, entrepreneurs, industry experts, and potentially leads to new business opportunities and new partnerships.
Absolutely.
Which I'm really looking forward to.
Absolutely. Just so you know, I'm also not licensed to raise investment capital. We do debt consulting funding, but a lot of my clients all of them must be accredited investors, but we have a lot of institutional investors. So that's really great, for sure. Thank you. I want to talk a little bit about you, if I may ask, my interest in you.
Definitely.
My opinion, it's just an opinion I have, is the next big frontier for growth investments is Africa.
Absolutely.
I don't think you're going to see the growth in Chile as a comparison compared to Africa like that. And so I've been, for the past few years, concentrating on, if you watch my YouTube channel, you'll see some bank CEOs who from Europe, specifically injecting capital into Africa like that. So I believe it's the next big frontier that I want to invest a lot of time and resources in to build a relationship, build a network so that I don't think the African projects that we are getting are looking for $2,000 credit line. They're looking for 20 million, 80 million, 500 million, like massive, legitimate projects like that. I also think that some jurisdictions, some countries in Africa have done a lot of work in enhancing the credit rating of their banks. Not everybody, but some of them. And with Trump talking about peace, I'm creating peace in Africa, I think now is a great time to invest, if I can say that way, in Africa, to look at what are some projects that either the government wants to do or larger institutions want to do, where it can impact small businesses, that can impact humanity, impact the environment like that. And so that's my big interest in you. And so one of the things I do on a consistently regular basis is scatter LinkedIn. And I'm always looking for current bank CEOs or former bank CEOs that I can talk to, relate to, if you have common values, connect to like that, and do something. And I just want to end with one quick story for me. Years ago, I decided to have an event in Panama. And I invited North American bank CEOs to have a relationship with, and South American bank CEOs to have a relationship with, to stay with me at this massive mansion castle that I got. This house was on the front page of magazines because of the luxury and style, whatever else. And I rented it for a week. And I had bank executives from all over come in for a week. And the idea was come in for 3 days to network with each other, exchange ideas with each other. You have capabilities the other guy doesn't have. For instance, South America has this thing called Euroclear, and they don't have necessarily something called Swift. And the number of times I've got clients who have something they want to monetize, and the actual lenders on Euroclear in South America, it's like, anyways, I don't want to get into details of that. So I had this event, and so half of it was bankers meet each other. Second half was I'm going to bring my clients, and you guys will talk about your banking capabilities and why somebody should choose you, and we're going to have a great time, and that's it.
Yeah.
Years past that event, years passed by, and I got this financial institution in Mexico contacted me, the chief legal counsel. And what I didn't know was in Mexico, 20% of banks, financial institutions in Mexico, every year religiously lose their license. They take drug money they shouldn't have, like they do some nonsense they shouldn't have, and 20% statistically lose their license.
They're not so risk averse.
Yeah, there you go. So this chief legal counsel of this, he's a lawyer of the bank. He's known me for years. He calls me because, not bad reasons, but whatever. In this case, it was an ego reason. The CEO of this bank tried to reinvent the Central Bank of Mexico. Just don't ask why somebody would do that. But human beings do a lot of weird things. This would be one thing that I thought was, why would you do that? So the government decides to take his license away. So they're sitting on billions of dollars and they don't have a license. And they're like, and so a Canadian CEO of a financial institution that I have a relationship with said, I'm willing to take his money. I'm willing to be the exit guy. But legally, I need an intermediary bank between me and him, because when an intermediary bank takes on the money, they take on a corresponding relationship, and it legalizes him receiving the funds. Only and only because I had that one event years ago in Panama, and as South American bank CEOs and North American bank CEOs, I called this bank CEO in Ecuador, who knows the North American guy, and remember they shared a house for a while because of me. I said, I've got this project, I'm trying to help a bank. I promise you the problem is legitimate. They're not doing anything bad or wrong, but they got stuck. And I have the creative thinking and the relationships to put together to move money out. Would you be open to it? And he's like, absolutely. And it wasn't because he was trusting me, but he was also trusting the North American bank CEO to do this. And so I find a lot of value in connecting. My DNA is a connector, if I can say that way. I like connecting and educating. And so I'm interested in people who are doing wow projects. From that, I learned wow ideas, wow strategies, wow techniques, and I'm always interested in, how to make a contribution from that. But my point of this is I think there's a value in investing time, money, resources to meet people just like you. And
thank you, sir.
People like you could sometimes be a former executive, and then tomorrow they could become a current executive, or just be so busy and love being free and not being attached to a corporate style or whatever else. One of my relationships is a former bank CEO of one of the big banks in Europe. He's a former bank CEO, and he's one of my other collaborators. And he was saying to me that as a bank CEO, he was personally responsible for the operation of the bank. Personally responsible for the operation of the bank. And now he's on his own. He's doing consulting. He's partnering with people like me as well. And he goes, why on earth would I want to go back to being a CEO of a bank and take on, why would I personally want to be liable for the operation of the bank? And I just thought it was really interesting. And for a guy who likes education, like a guy like me, how Singaporean bank executives think about compliance, risk, revenue, whatever, liquidity, so different to African bankers, so different to, like South America, so different, and everybody thinks banking is the same. And it's like, no.
I think just on that point, we in Africa, my experience in South Africa, Taimour, has been that banks are highly regulated.
Right.
There's a strong, very strong and strict focus on compliance and risk. For sure.
Especially if you have a reputation, or if you have a reputation for whatever. My experience is that they spend a lot more time and money on things like compliance and regulation. And I'll give you one example. One of the top European banks, and I'm not going to mention the name of this bank, was caught for taking off-ledger funds and putting them on ledger. And I think there's a bunch of bank executives who wanted to retire. And we have a lot of off-ledger funds, why don't you just put them on ledger? And this was a regulator was like, oh, no, big no. today, maybe 2 years ago, if you called me and said, I have a SBLC from this bank, can you monetize it? I would say no. And you could, and it was one of the top 45 banks in the world.
Yeah.
You give me SBLC, I would say, sorry, I just don't know anybody who wants to monetize it. It was just because of all that, whatever that was happening there. Today, for them to issue a stamp letter of credit, as an example, not one, but two of their banking officers, the officers of the bank, directors of the bank have to sign off on it. A lot of people have a connotation, oh, this country is bad or whatever else. But man, my experience from a banking perspective is very different. It's like the minute they have a bad reputation, they put much more emphasis on compliance, regulation, and things like that.
Regulatory compliance has become a huge focus on banks globally, especially in Africa. Not there's any reputational issues in Africa, but South Africa has a strong historic institutional regulatory compliance backbone.
Right.
Going back years.
Right. Got it.
Our banking system is built on regulatory capital.
For sure. Well, thanks so much for your time. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome, Taimour. Thank you so much for your time.